hopefully, I'm a little warm, but hopefully it's cool enough for you all here. So welcome, glad to have you. Thanks for our other attendees that have invited friends and new attendees. We hope that you'll find it informational and come back again. So today's a little bit different. So today, Sharon and I are going to be talking about ourselves, okay, what we do, which is not the norm for those that have been coming for a while. So just wanted to share that. Format's pretty much going to be the same. We're going to talk for an hour and 15 minutes. Sounds like a long time, but once we get started, it just keeps going. Then we open up for questions when we're done. So we do have a certain amount of information that we want to share with you all. Your questions are important to us, so in the event you don't get time in our reserved time for questions, feel free to give us a call outside of this. So use us for a resource. That's what we're here for. So Sharon, you want to come on up? And I was hesitant to wear my tennis shoes today, but I have plantar fasciitis and I'm just getting healed over it, and I'm like, you guys know me, so hopefully I don't need to impress, but I think I'm going to use a step here. Goodness. All right, so our topic today is, and I'm sorry, we have a realtor friend of ours from our office, Dominic and back, who is always asking to help out, and I said, yes, we could use your help today, so thank you, Dominic. All right, so I know we're sitting kind of far apart, but I wanted people to be able to see the screen there. So, all right, so our topic today is, I called it Sell Smart, Move Smart, Real Estate Decisions After 60. So, is anybody under 60 here? Besides you, Dominic. All right, well, you're going to learn something today for sure, okay? All right, even though you're a realtor and in the business. So, all right, so we're going to talk about the real estate market, and like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about us and what we do. So I usually try to say, we have a no selling policy, and really try to stick to that, and we're going to try to stick to information rather than trying to sell you guys, but we want you to use us as a resource. This is why we do this. We want there to be good information out there and to help you through. Specifically, what we do is help people downsize and buy and sell real estate. So, all right, so I'm StephanieParson. Most of you know me, and this is Sharon Brimmer. So Sharon, you want to fill us in about who you are, what you do, and let's talk.
So like Stephanie said, I'm on Stephanie's team. Sharon Brummer, I've been in the business really, but I have to. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. So Sharon Brummer, I have actually been a real estate agent since 1993, so I've been around the block more than once. I spent 18 of my 32 years in new home construction sales. So when it comes to looking at homes, whether it's an existing home or new, I tend to be a very valuable resource because there's things that I have learned over the years that many agents just don't know. I am not from St. Louis originally. I'm actually from Houston, Texas, but I've been in St. Louis most of my adult life. I am married. I have 7 sons. And we also have 7 grandchildren. So we're very, very blessed. Luckily, everybody lives within an hour of us. So the oldest...
That's not the norm, is it?
No, it's not. So the oldest grandchild is 22. Then we have 3 teenagers that are 15, 14, and 13. And then we have 3 babies that are 3, 2 and a half, and the baby's about to turn 2 next week. So life is very busy. My husband is still working. He's 68 years old. He manages one of the big oil facilities over in Illinois. I I just turned 66 2 weeks ago, so we are still very active. We try to spend as much time with the kids and grandkids as we possibly can. But we also know that real estate, he knows after being together for so long, that real estate is a true passion of mine. In the last few years, since Stephanie has started the Senior Empowerment Series, it's really been eye-opening for myself. My parents are deceased. My father-in-law, God love him, he turns 91 next week. He still plays golf twice a week. He goes to the boat on Thursday nights. My husband actually plays golf with him every Saturday. So he's not the norm. He's very, very active, very bright for his age, which is just so wonderful to see. My mother-in-law died a few years ago of Alzheimer's, and so I've had first-hand experience watching how that progresses and what it does to a family. And it's very sad, very, very sad to watch someone who's physically still there but is dying on the inside. So anyone that has experienced that, my heart goes out to you. Really just have such a passion for real estate. I actually helped my parents. My parents were getting divorced when I was 18. And I was here in St. Louis going to Maryville. My parents were up in Wisconsin. My folks divorced. My mom went back to Houston with my younger sister, and my dad actually moved to Boston, part of his job. So there I was in Milwaukee, the end of my freshman year of college, and there's this house to sell. There's no parents around, so guess who took over? I helped get the house sold, I helped get the movers, get the stuff packed, and moved on to Boston, and also moved on to Houston. I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. So went on to Maryville, got my degree in business, and then actually got into food and beverage for a while. But when my ex-husband and I bought our first house, it was a challenge because we had both been married previously and there was just issues that had to be resolved. It was so fascinating to me, and this was back in '93, it was so fascinating to me that that's how I got into business.
Well, thanks, Sharon.
Yeah, so it's been a big full circle.
Yeah. Well, and I know Sharon has quite an extensive experience with new construction. So I know every time we talk about, oh, there's a house that came up over there, and she's like, oh, I sold in there. I was there when we opened that community. I know that builder. I know that floor plan. So she's a wealth of knowledge for new construction, and I appreciate all the value that you bring to our business. So
I'll just say real quick, Stephanie and I have been personal friends for 10, 12 years, a while. We worked at the same company previously. She left and came to Keller Williams, and then eventually I followed her. So we've not only business, but personal friends as well. And I really appreciate the relationship we have with each other.
oh, same back at you. Thanks, Sharon. All right, so getting into the information, I brought some stats and information to share with you. Now, we've got the slides up here. I will have the slide deck up on our website, and we also record these as well. So if you can't really see the information and you'd like to have it in hand, it is going to be available after this. So everybody, it's the American dream, owning real estate. And a lot of us here do actually own real estate, and our ears perk up when on the news when we hear about interest rates and new starts and foreclosures and all of that. But those are national averages. And real estate is very, very local, okay? And a couple of these stats, we're going to show you how we can drill down into very specific information on differences, areas, types of housing. But overall, we just wanted to give you an idea of what things are looking at in our area. So all of these are pretty much going to be St. Charles County. So I apologize if you live in a different county. The information is available. We just can't, hit everybody out there who lives in different areas. So the first one, Okay, so the first one is St. Charles County historical median sale price, okay? And it is showing from 2006 to 2024, okay? So if any of you had opened up your assessment earlier this year and had a freak out, you know, your values are up, okay? So everything goes up, which is a good thing because a lot of us use our homes to build wealth. So this is showing the overall trend from 26 to just 2024, and you can see how it has exploded at the in more recent years. This particular slide is showing us just drilling down between January of 2020 to May of 25, okay? This is the median sale price in St. Charles County. So back in 2020, the median sale price, which is when half of the properties are priced higher and half of them are priced lower, so the midpoint, 2020 was $270,000, okay? Currently, last reported, $380,000. I'll just tell you, if you compare this with St. Louis County, you know, we have far exceeded the appreciation out here in St. Charles County over St. Louis County. So again, we have the stats on all of this information. Is anybody shocked by those numbers? No? Okay. All right. Good. All right. Next slide. We have here, these are, we look at quarters first of all, because we have seasonality here. And looking at the top left one, median sale price is almost $370,000. So the change from last year, again, it's up, they're reporting 3.6%. So that's kind of a normal appreciation amount. No change in our average sale price for the quarter over last year. Percent of price received, it's actually down 1.2%. Homes for sale, up 17% over last year. Closed sales, just up 6%. And the next two numbers are ones that we really focus on because it goes to the simple equation of supply and demand, okay? So months supply here was reported 2.7 months, okay? And that was up 12.5%. Days on market, that's how many days from when a property goes active till it actually goes under contract. That is up to 28 days, and that's up to 40% over last year's quarter. So those last two indicators are telling us that we're having more homes on the market and sitting longer. So the supply and demand, we call it either a seller's market or a buyer's market, it has been very much tilted to a seller's market, and it's creeping over more to be a normal market. So 4 to 6 months is the numbers that we figure is a balanced market, meaning equal number of buyers and sellers. So, all right. Next information we want to share is, this breaks it down, median sale price residential, meaning detached, and then compared to townhomes and condos. So some of you may live in a condo, and that is kind of a little bit of a different market as it goes. So there's a lot of different things to look at and evaluate when you're buying or selling. The lower gray line on both of these is actually the entire MLS, and then the darker line above that is just St. Charles County. So if you look at the gap between them, you can see St. Charles County is, vastly outperforming the overall MLS area that is covered here, which is actually a lot of counties. So Pike County and Jefferson, yeah. So just looking at this information, single-family homes are definitely still outperforming the condos or the townhomes. All right, and then this one again, we're looking at detached versus single-family versus townhomes and condos, and the changes from June of 2025 compared to 2024. Numbers are all nothing real crazy, but I'll point out the inventory of homes for sale. They're reporting up 13% on single family, up 12% on months of supply. The big numbers are in the townhouses and condos. So inventory for those is up almost 40%. And month's supply of inventory is up almost 53%. So these trends tell us things, okay? And we try to interpret that data for you. But there's a lot of information that we have access to that we study. And then this is showing even how it breaks down by zip code, okay? And I would say the one zip code that was sticking out to me that I kind of have my eye on is 63385, which is Wentzville. So does anybody live out there or drive out there on a regular basis? Dominic, you did? I didn't know that.
Yep.
What's it like?
It's a lot busier than it used to be.
Yeah. And how long is that going to be going on for?
A long time. They're expanding currently.
Okay. So, I've been hearing that from people. It always has been that way a little bit, but for the next couple years, it's going to be worse. Okay. So people are aware of that and, shying away from that area. We've been seeing more homes sitting out there than before. So.
Where are villas? With condos or single families?
Yes, ma'am. So those would most likely be considered in the condos because most of them are attached. But that's a great question, and that's kind of something that when we were looking at this number, Sharon asked me, she said, well, what? And I said, well, this is how they're breaking it down, but I would say for villas, we're gonna do a very specific search just on villas, okay? And then we'll break it down even into attached versus detached. So we were just having a conversation about detached villas here earlier. So overall, the insurance on things that are attached, which are typically classified as a condo, the insurance has been greatly increasing, and most of you, if you're in a condo, have seen pretty drastic increases in your HOA fees. And besides costs going up, it's a factor of the insurance, and specifically a big part of it is the roofs. So something to think about and be mindful. And then we can even break it down further. This is a showing report, and I know you can't see all this information, but these are stats that we look at and we can dig into. This is for St. Charles County, and it's breaking it down by number of showings per listing and different price ranges. And then we can furthermore break it down, that's St. Charles County. we can break it down. Here's just an example, St. Peter's. So we've got one for Winsville and St. Charles and all the different areas too. So we have access to a lot of great information, and we're happy to, share that with you guys. So I hope you found that a little bit interesting. So Sharon, what's something that we talk about and we kind of laugh because with us being older, we've lived through many years of interest rates. And not always being realtors, just being homeowners. So you want to fill us in a little bit about interest rates?
So if you look, and I remember because of my parents, back in the 70s, interest rates were at 19 and 20%. And of course they came down. When I got in the business in 93, interest rates were between 9 and 10%. So you always see that ebb and flow. When the rates got down to 2.25 and 2.5, that was such an anomaly in the market that the world would have to be collapsing, truthfully, for us to see those kind of rates again. That's my opinion. Okay, sorry. My opinion, we won't see 2.5, 3%. Will they come down? We don't know. We know that there's some arguing going on in the government that we have nothing to do with. So them being at 6.5, even 7, that's really the norm. And that's probably what most of you have seen through your lifetime of home ownership. So I can say personally that my husband and I built a new home 12 years ago. It has doubled in price in the last 12 years. If we had to buy that same house today at today's value with today's interest rate, we could not even afford our own house. So interest rates do play a factor, we know that. But we also know that values continue to go up. So I always laugh when I see the chart, because our younger generation, all they've heard is, 2.5, 3%, or what Stephanie and I will hear is, I'm gonna wait till the interest rates come down. Or the other one is, I'm gonna wait until the market crashes. Okay, well, you're gonna be waiting a very, very long time. Your value in your homes is one of the most important assets you could have today. Whether you have a 18% interest rate or you have a 2.5% interest rate.
Sorry, we're gonna have to share this. I guess they didn't have another one.
No, it's charging currently though, so give it like
Thank you,
20
Dominic.
minutes.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
Thanks. So I did tune in to Lawrence Young. He is the economic head of the economic forecast for National Association of Realtors. And this was last week, I think. And basically he said, they thought rates there would be some adjustments, but now they don't know until we see it happen. So I don't expect there to be a whole lot of change. Like Sharon said, they've been hovering, low 6s to, about 7. So one of the things I found really interesting, I knew this because we've experienced it, but to actually have somebody put a number with it, 38% of the buyers in the last year were cash buyers. Yeah.
A lot of them are liquidating.
So where's the wealth? The wealthy is with us all, baby boomers. So, rather than taking out a loan, people are paying cash. So there's definitely advantages to buying with cash that we see. All right, so moving on. Talking about things that, changes in life, and, they determine new priorities that we have. And what are some of those things that do that? So health changes. I know several of us have been conversing about, this ache or pain or falling, and if you fall, what that means for you. But there's lifestyle shifts. You know, you retire, you want the freedom to travel, you have a loss of a spouse or a partner. That's a pretty big one as well. The desire to move closer to family. So Sharon talked about how close her family lives. A lot of people we deal with, that is not the case. Their kids live in, opposite ends of the states, or maybe even in another country. And so a lot of movement is that. It is older generation either needing or wanting to move closer to family. And sometimes it's actually the kids saying, Dad needs to be closer to me, so this is what we're going to be doing. Property maintenance. So the stress of keeping up a property. I saw some looks like, we've been talking about that. We have a lady who attends. She's not here today, but I know we've talked with her. She lives in a huge 4-bedroom, 2-story home with an in-ground pool. And she's like, I can't do it and don't want to do it anymore. So we have that. And then there's just the desire to simplify, to downsize, to not have to take care of all of those things and a home. So signs that you might be ready to move are right size. So too many unused rooms. This one said, I haven't been upstairs in weeks. It's something, that's something we often hear. I met with a client 2 weeks ago. He's in a attached villa. I went downstairs to check out the finish and the furnace and things like that. And there's a major plumbing leak down there, and it has been going on for a while. So when I reported that to him, he's like, really? I had no idea. I haven't been down there in quite a while. So it happens. It happens. Again, the yard work, the repairs, cleaning, your monthly expenses are increasing, property taxes, insurance, utilities. And here's another really big one is the stairs, okay? Stairs are a big risk as we age, and then the narrow hallways and the bathrooms that are not easily accessible. They're no longer safe for us or convenient. So those are pretty much some of the main things that reasons why people move as we age. So if you fall into any or several of those categories, you're certainly not alone. Some thought-provoking questions would be, do I feel more at peace or more stress in this home today? Okay, and it could be coming from the number of different reasons. Am I holding on to space I no longer use out of habit or comfort? Do I feel safe and secure in the home? And would a smaller space help me focus more on the things I love? So those are all good questions to ask. So unique challenges in moving for us seniors. Dominic, I keep using him because how old are you, Dominic, can I ask?
Absolutely, I'm 25.
25. Okay. So if you remember back when we were all 25 or more, when we moved, what did we do? We called friends. We said, you know what, we'll barbecue or we'll get pizza and we'll have a cooler of beer. Come over and help us move. Bring your pickup truck. All right, so how many of us has friends that can do that now? No. All right, so we have age-related limitations, okay? We cannot pick up boxes and pack boxes as heavy, or maybe even, hardly pack at all. We're just, our bodies are just not what they used to be, unfortunately. So that's a big thing that we deal as seniors and thinking about moving. And then dealing with all of the emotions. That's a real big one too. Accumulation of stuff in basements, stuff in attics. These are places you haven't been in years potentially.
I have mentioned more than once that my husband still has his clothes from high school.
Yes.
He still has his school books from high school.
Yes.
And when I say to him, don't you think it's time to get rid of that stuff? Well, the grandkids may need the books. They don't teach like they taught when we were all in school. It will not, but they're still sitting in the basement, all boxed up, waiting for one of the grandkids to use it.
Get rid of it. Just move it out when he's not.
Oh, he would know. He's the person that would know if something gets moved 2 inches, but anyway.
So again, we're talking about deferred maintenance. You know, we're not getting in those rooms. We're not using them. The outside of the house, we're maybe not enjoying that as much. It's a burden. We have deferred maintenance. And then, you know, it's difficult because we have time pressures. We don't move as quick as what we used to, right? And sometimes the world moves faster than we can, and we need help. So. Selling the family home is emotional, so this is a very normal thing, and what we're used to dealing, and we try to really be very respectful of that. So, you know, things like, I raised my children here, I don't want to leave, there's so many memories. You know, I lost my spouse, the memories are here. I feel like I'm losing part of my family by moving or selling this home. Sometimes family members, usually our kids, they're pushing for you to move or a quick move. And that's something I know I've had several discussions with clients about is, you know, you're an adult. If you're safe where you're at and you can afford it, you know, you'll know more so when the right time, when you're ready. You know, don't let your kids rule your life. And those are tough conversations to have. So helpful conversations to have when that comes up is, you know, saying what matters most to me is comfort and peace, and maybe where I'm at right now is where I get that. Or I would love to move and find a place that works for where I'm at today. I love your support. Even if this feels hard. So sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes kids don't want you to sell because their memories are there. I remember, you know, Thanksgiving or Christmas or growing up here. So it's difficult to let go of things. And you need space to grieve and honor and move forward. Taking photos of your favorite rooms or views of your residence is helpful. Hosting a goodbye dinner with family and friends, a small gathering, kind of a celebratory thing, and start passing down meaningful items to family. You get joy from seeing them enjoy those things. And you also find out who wants what and find out that they don't want most of it, right? They don't want your textbooks from high school, or your china, yeah, or your
Corduroy suits.
your precious moments, yeah. Okay. So you decided to move. So now what? So how and where do I begin? Where do I move? What to do with all my stuff? And who can I trust to help me? So, kind of the roadmap to get started. And I mean, this is where Sharon and I guess our passion is helping people navigate through this process.
If you haven't moved in 30 or 40 years, if you haven't moved in 30 or 40 years, you're gonna feel like a first-time home buyer or a first-time home seller. And because I have all these kids, I have a lot of passion to walk people through the process, as Stephanie does, because it's so important. When I work with a younger client, I tell them up front, I'm gonna treat you guys like you're my kids. When I work with a more mature client, I can relate to them and I can say, okay, let me help you make the best decision for you. Because it really is all about your needs at this point in life.
All right, so the biggest thing, I think, we have these, kind of points to point out and checklists and things like that, but I'm gonna kind of breeze over this a little bit. So creating a plan is very important, and that means what you're trying to accomplish. Do you have a timeline? What's the financial picture look like? And having that conversation with you of, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? And what order to put those things in. Having a support team. That's professionals and family and friends. So of course, we're an advocate of a great realtor. And we feel as realtors, we are more than just somebody there to show your home or sell your home. This is a major life decision. It's your biggest investment most of us have made in our life, and it's where we've raised our families and have our memories. And there's a lot of respect and care that needs to happen when these moves are taking place. We want it to be a smart move. We want people to be happy, safe, and comfortable. And I don't know, I've heard this several times, and it just surprises me, because I know when we talk to people, we talk about where are you going. If they call us in like, okay, we decided, or I decided I want to move, or I need to move. Well, let's talk about, okay, we understand you need to do this, but let's talk about the first thing. Where are you going to go? What are your needs? Okay? We do not want to sell your home and make you homeless, because that is the worst thing. Okay? And there's a lot, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't ask those questions. Okay? And it's frightening to be in that situation.
Yeah, it's not just a transaction for us, it's a relationship, and we take great care in that relationship. It's not, oh, here, sign this, put the sign in the yard, and oh yeah, you gotta be out in 30 days. Oh, what do you mean you don't have a place to go? We peel all that back first. Why do you want to move? Where do you want to go? So that we can help you get where you want to be, when you want to be there.
And sometimes it's talking about not moving at all.
Yeah.
It's staying where you're at and aging in place, because that may be the best fit for you, and you may not have considered or know all what is available to you to maybe, stay right where you are. So those are all things that we talk about, rather than immediately saying, okay, let's get this thing sold and you deal with it, kind of thing. So it's very stressful in moving, and like I said, it takes a village. So having a good realtor with contacts, organizer, downsizing pro, contractors, moving company, your financial advisor, if you have one, should be talked to. The financial aspect is a big part of it, absolutely. And then, an elder law attorney. We may be dealing with some deed issues or trust, and those are things that all we try to be knowledgeable about and help you with as well. So, all right, so evaluating your needs in a new space. So, Sharon, you want to talk a little bit about the must-haves and the nice-to-haves?
It's something that we really key in on. What must you have in a home? What's going to make you happy to move? It's a big deal. To some people, it's a bedroom, or an extra bedroom, or a craft room. For others, it's, I actually need more space. Some people actually want to upsize because they're in something small. So we know for example, do you have a luxury bath now? And there's a bathtub sitting there for the last 20 years that you haven't gotten in the last 10 because you might be able to get in, but you can't get out, right? It's happened to me. So do you need a walk-in shower? Do you need grab bars? What do you need to make this best for you? So those are the must-haves. The nice-to-haves, like I said, the extra bedroom or a finished basement. But if you're gonna have a finished basement, make sure you go down there and make sure you have no plumbing issues. Do you want a fireplace? Do you want a nice porch? Are you wanting a big patio in the backyard? Do you want a walkout basement, or do you want what we call an in-grade home site? There's so much to take into account when you're making those decisions if you want to move or not. And we help you with that. Do you want to we'll flip on a little bit. Do you want a single family home? Do you want a villa? Do you want a condo? Do you want to just rent? Those are all viable options, and it's all things that we can help you discover.
So there's pre-owned, and then there's a question of, do you want to build brand new? Okay, there's a lot of options out there. Do you want to rent an apartment, or do you want to go to a senior community? Okay, so we want people to be happy. We try to stay up on all of this stuff, the senior communities, the rental places, so that we can help give you some guidance on that. And I know I was talking to somebody here about rental that has no step entry, 2-car garages. They're villas, attached villas, and they're a great option. If you need to land somewhere for a while or even long term. So there are places out there that exist, but a lot of us don't know where they are. So.
Want to just add something?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Can I ask Sharon?
Yeah.
She's younger.
Yeah, that's what I was getting, yeah. So obviously I love new construction, and I think everyone should build a house at least once in their lifetime. But here's what I'll tell you. I have someone right now who is getting ready to build with a very well-known builder here in the St. Charles County area, and they have asked him to take a construction loan. And they've also asked him to take liability insurance while they build that house. It's a $750,000 house. And in my mind, I'm thinking, are these guys getting ready to go under? Why are they having the buyer take the loan? Because in my experience, you never took the loan. That was the builder's responsibility. So once again, it's having the knowledge to know that doesn't really sit right with me, and being able to explain it to someone else. I truly do love new construction. You have to have 9 to 12 months to be able to wait. So it's not a quick thing unless you find a market or an inventory home. And unfortunately, new construction has gotten very, very expensive. So in my opinion, if you can find something that's 20 years or newer, I would probably buy that before I would build again. And I've built 4 new homes in my lifetime. So that's why.
I've never built a home. And my husband says, we've been married for 38 years and we can't make, it's hard enough to make everyday decisions together. We couldn't possibly decide on, what type of toilet holder to install in a new home. So we're not going there. So, all right. Selling pitfalls to avoid. So waiting too long to get started, okay? Delays often uncover last-minute issues. There's unresolved liens. There's HOAs involved. There's title problems, ownership complications, a deceased spouse. There's trust issues. Starting early gives you time to solve these without added stress or cost. These are things that we look into when we talk to you about potentially selling your home. we want to bulletproof the transaction. We like it when they are very smooth transactions and not a lot of drama, okay? And in doing that, that means we have to be very detailed and we have to be very proactive and ask a lot of questions and share a lot of information. There's just a lot of moving parts going on. So not all agents are experienced with late in life moves or downsizing transitions. So look for someone who understands your priorities, not just your property. And that they're going to take time to educate you and get to know you and do what's in your best interest rather than maybe them getting a paycheck.
It's not just a transaction, once again.
So, underestimating the importance of a team, again, lots of people involved, legal, financial, it becomes overwhelming really, really quick. Overthinking renovations. A lot of times people think that I have to make my home absolutely perfect with the latest and greatest things in it. There was a time since we've been selling real estate that it was really hard to sell a home. There was so much inventory out there that, you had to be the best one out there to sell your home.
Because you were always competing against new construction.
Well, there's just so much inventory, so many pre-owned sitting out there when we had the real estate crash. The market has not been like that. Thankfully we recovered from that. So you have to know what is the best in the market that we have. So don't think you need a full remodel in your existing home or villa. You're not going to most likely get the return on it. We like to focus on it being clean, safe, well-maintained. So in dealing with younger people, I always say I love selling grandma's house. And I describe grandma's house, which is, I'm a grandma too. So, grandma's house has been very well maintained. It may still have avocado green dishwasher in it because it never gets used, but it's going to have a great roof that's been maintained. Windows have been updated. All the expensive things have been done. So those are great things I like to point out when working with buyers anyway. But we don't want you to upgrade when you don't have to. So we like to come out early. Sometimes it is, and any realtor should be willing to do this with you. I'm thinking about it. I'm looking at maybe in 2 years. I want to have a plan together. I need to know what I should and shouldn't do in order to accomplish my goals, okay? And a lot of times that's maybe not as much as you think it is, okay? Again, cleaning, being clean, taking down window treatments that are dated and just can really change the look of a home, making it light and bright. We don't want to have to spend your money if it's not really needed. So invite an agent in early and get their advice. What else? Fireplace renovations are very expensive, so don't worry about that the brick is dated or old. Partial fixes we don't recommend. We're always looking for things that are considered to be red flags. And as we age, we don't always see things like maybe some water stains on the ceiling and that. And so that's kind of a red flag thing. So if you see water stains on the ceiling, a buyer's going to think, oh my gosh, it needs a whole new roof, a brand new roof. And those are just red flags that we would rather deal with before you go on the market. So a lot of preventative type things. Of course, it's never good to over-improve your property for the neighborhood. Somebody's got to be the most expensive, but let's not make it, you, because you're not going to get the highest amount of return. So we have clients that contact us about, we're thinking about making this change or doing this or that. What's your advice on that? And, we love answering questions like that. Advising people on, what the current market is, what sells, and where they're going to get the most amount of return back for that. So, Sharon, you want to talk a little bit more about the what not to fix before selling your home?
Stephanie mentioned earlier, taking down.
You're not working. Flip it up.
Is that better? Yep. So window treatments, window curtains, you may absolutely love them, but they tend to make the room a little darker, so take them down. Leave the blinds, if you have blinds, leave the blinds up. But take the curtains down. You may want them when you move. There you go, Ken. So that's one thing. Landscaping. Don't go in and tear out all your landscaping and put new in. Trim it, plant some flowers, maybe just put some pots on the front porch. But neat and tidy is going to be more important. Stephanie mentioned earlier fireplace renovations. Leave that alone. There's no reason to mess with it. Partial fixes. If there is something that needs to be fixed, you're out again.
You went out again.
Well, doggone it. Okay. Okay. So if something does need to be fixed, fix it, or let's make a note that it's being sold as is, which we can do, but we have to be willing, we have to disclose it too. Over improving. Kitchens and baths are what sell homes, at least to younger buyers. That's the most important thing. But here's what I know. You go in and you spend all this money and renovate, and they don't like it anyway, right? So let's say you have the old dark oak cabinets. Well, don't replace them. Maybe paint them a lighter and brighter color, but you don't necessarily have to tear them out and put something new in, unless you're planning on staying and it's something that you want. Same thing with the kitchen. Clean it up. Like I said, maybe paint the cabinets. If you need new countertops, if your countertops have holes in them and the laminate's pulling up and everything else, it might behoove you to switch out countertops. But you don't have to spend a lot of money. It's really the biggest thing that we would want to get across. It's doing simple things. Cleaning is so hugely important. I cannot tell you. I actually walked into a house that I showed the other night, and there was so much grease and grime on the light switches. You felt dirty just because of something that simple. So that's why we really stress keeping the home clean. We've got people that can come in and help you with those things. I know cleaning a home can be overwhelming or very difficult if you've got challenges. I've had both of my knees replaced. I've also had major surgery on my foot 5 times. Me climbing in and scrubbing showers and bathtubs and all that, it doesn't happen anymore. So you have to realize that if you need help, we've got resources that can help, or you may have family and friends that can help you as well. Front door, curb appeal is your first impression. If the front doesn't look pretty, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be negative when they come through the house. So once again, if the front door needs to be painted, you've got it painted purple now, and it really should be, I don't know, black, gray, white. Hey, get it painted. Taking care of the landscaping, putting a pot on the front porch with fresh flowers. It's little things that can make such a big impact on people coming in to see your house. And it'll put a smile on your face too, because you'll be like, oh, that looks really nice.
So, Sharon, can you just elaborate maybe a little bit more on the, as is selling?
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of people who say, I don't want to do anything, or I want to do the bare
Right.
minimum, and we understand.
Sure.
That.
So especially for our younger generation, HGTV, and I'm very guilty of watching it way too often myself, people see what the house is going to look like, and oh, it's this and it's that, and oh, it's beautiful. But it's not realistic for many of us, once again, at this stages of our lives. It's so important to know what needs to be fixed at the house. So many times we will recommend a pre-inspection. We'll bring a building inspector in or a home inspector in, find out if there's anything that really needs to be repaired. Are there bad GFCIs? Do you have a plumbing leak? Those are things that if we can address them, it helps selling your home. But it's more important that you know for the safety of you living there. If there's something wrong, let's get it taken care of. If you started to finish the basement but you haven't finished it, or once again, maybe the kitchen faucet is leaking, we can sell the house quote unquote as is, which basically means the seller's not going to make any repairs. Many times in contracts, what Stephanie and I have seen is buyer will ask for no repairs unless it's structural or it's a $5,000 plus repair. So selling as is isn't as scary as it would have been in the past. Does that make sense?
Does that mean you waive inspections then? I mean, are you going?
So every once in a while, again, this is the law of supply and demand, okay? Knowing the market and using it to your advantage. Yes, there have been many times where buyers, in order to get the home or property they want, they will say, we waive all inspections, okay? We're taking it as is, we waive inspections, which we don't recommend when we represent clients as buyers. Most of the time, it could be we want an inspection, but we promise we're not going to ask for anything. We're going to agree to take it as is, but we reserve the right to terminate. But besides getting your home sold, our goal is not just to get you one offer for your home. It has been to get multiple offers and get you the best terms that work for you. So it's not always about price, it's the best overall package. So that can mean as is. It doesn't work for maybe every municipality because every municipality can be different on municipal inspections and what's required. But every situation can be different. So it's hard to say, this is exactly what you need to do. There's a lot to take into consideration of, but yes, to answer your question about inspections, most buyers are being fairly lenient, but we're seeing it go the other way. We're seeing buyers asking for closing costs, asking for repairs. Again, it depends on how desirable your property is, how many like them are available for sale. These ladies up here shared with me, a detached villa that I showed clients to last week, and they said, okay, well, it's under contract. And the buyers, waive their inspections? Yeah, buyers waive their inspections to get it. The detached villa that was, $280,000 with a 2-car garage. So those are hard to find.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand common in Missouri are cracks in the basement floor or in the wall. What do you find about that? Can I answer that?
Yes.
Sorry.
No. Foundation cracks and floor cracks, in a basement floor. First of all, when your house is being built, they pour your foundation walls. Then they go in and they do the plumbing rough and some of the other roughs. And then they come back in and they pour your basement floor. So your basement floor actually floats. It's not attached to the foundation walls itself. It's a floating piece of concrete. They put what's called cracker joints or split joints in the concrete to keep it from spider cracking, because the two things we know about concrete is, one, it gets hard, and two, it cracks. So with a basement floor, you will see it cracking. If you see it displacing over a certain, and I want to say it's either maybe an 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch, then it's an issue and you need to have it looked at. Foundation wall cracks, what we never want to see is these. These are bad cracks. These up and down, we kind of anticipate. And where you tend to see them is at the windows, the little hopper windows that they put in the basement. You'll typically see those crack, and it's just from the stress of them cutting into the concrete and placing those windows there. So unless you've got major movement, if you've got major movement in your foundation, that's a big issue. We've actually seen where walls have moved so much that they have to go in and stabilize them. They have to put these big anchors in the concrete wall and pull it out into the yard to help stabilize it, to keep it from one way or the other. So in a lot of the newer homes built over the last 25 years, if your foundation wall is really long this way or this way, they'll put something in that's called a dead man. And what that is it's about a 2-foot wide wall, and that's to help stabilize the foundation wall. So Missouri, we're going to have cracks. Yeah.
All right, so valuables. Let's talk about like actually showing your home. So you're going to want to secure your valuables either in the home or outside of the home. Prescription medications are the big one, okay? You don't want to keep those in your medicine cabinet or where you would normally keep them, because unfortunately there are unscrupulous people out there that are looking for things like that. So valuables, firearms, and drugs, of course, money, jewelry, those kinds of things. You take them out, give them to some other family or friend to keep, put them in your safety deposit box. And now your drugs, you want them accessible, but yeah, put them in a bag and take them with you. Or put them in a spot where they're not easily accessible and gonna be looking for them, because there are people out there that will go with realtors to look at property, either on an appointment or an open house, and that's their mission. And it's just the life we live right now. So as far as just wanted to talk about when you list your home, we have an automated system in our area, and most realtors do, where appointments are scheduled online. We talk to you, or your agent should talk to you about how early can an appointment be scheduled, how late an appointment can be scheduled. Do you have certain days that we need to block out because you have something going on? Maybe you watch a grandchild and that's not a good day. So there are things that we can do for you to make your life a little bit easier during that process. Feedback. We ask for feedback from agents that show your property. Not everybody wants it. So that's a question. Do you want the feedback or not? We want the feedback because we want to know maybe we've missed something. Most of the times we're pretty spot on. We know the feedback we're going to get, and it's usually something that we can't control or we've already talked about, and it's something that the seller's not willing to deal with. But that's something, you don't have to get the feedback. It's hard sometimes to accept criticism about your home. You want to be gone. Do not be at home for showings. A lot of people want to be there because they want to be protective. It backfires. makes people nervous. People don't want to stay. It's, they don't want to offend you. So temperature-wise, you want to keep it comfortable. Sometimes when it's vacant, everybody wants to shut utilities off. Well, who wants to stay in a non-air conditioner house today? No, you would be in and out real quick. So those are just some things that came to mind in regards to that. There's a lot of predatory practices out there and scams in selling property. These are people who want to, if you have a loan, they want to purchase subject to, which means they're going to basically, you sell them the property and they promise to make the payments on your loan. That's kind of a newer one that's been going on. A lot of investors and people out there wanting to pay cash and say, well, what date do you need? And we'll buy it as is and it'll be easy. That is usually not necessary to go that route. And,
It's significantly less for your
Yeah.
money too.
Right. I mean, it sounds good that you're going to get money right away, but pretty much you're leaving a lot of money on the table. One of the things we're asked all the time is about capital gains tax. So with that, if you've owned and lived in your home 2 of the last 5 years, you have a capital gains tax exemption when you sell your home. It's $250,000 if you're single, and it's $500,000 if you're married. You do not need to buy another home in order to qualify for the exemption. That's an old rule. And this applies only on your primary residence, not vacation or rental homes. And it's a good idea to keep track of investments in your home, because this will raise your cost basis and reduce your taxes later on. Let's see. One of the benefits of being 62 or older is you can get a reverse mortgage. We've had people in here talking about reverse mortgages. They're not for everyone. That can be a great solution. That's something that is only available if you're 62 years old or older, and you can make a purchase with a reverse mortgage. Let's see. How your home fits in the estate plan. Who owns it? Is it in a trust? Do you have a will? Is it a TOD, transfer on death? There are a lot of reasons why you don't want some of these, and you do want a trust. That there's so many reasons why a trust is the best way to go. We're going to be talking about that again next month. So we've had situations, unfortunate situations where people are not paying attention to this, and they are put in a situation. Unfortunately, Sharon was, last year? We got called in. Mom was failing in health. Sons lived out of the area. We got called in. Mom had just the home in her and her deceased spouse's name. No trust. She needed more care. He needed to sell the house. That's where the money was. And then she went downhill real fast. And we were trying to, in order to get her the care that she needed, get the property at least signed over to the son quickly. And unfortunately, she wasn't able to sign, was she? No.
I was there to try to help her sign, and she had Alzheimer's, and she was not of sound mind. It was horrible.
So these are things you have to look for and deal with in advance of. And that was a very sad situation. Luckily, we got them with an attorney and we got it sold quickly, and so turned out as best as we could with what we were dealing with. So talk to an elder law attorney, make sure that one of your most important assets are protected. Seniors Real Estate Property Tax Relief Program. That's something I hope all of you that are eligible have filed for it. It can probably save you a couple $100s a year. You do have to refile for it again every year. You have to be 62 years of age or older. And, you have to provide proof of that. And I know we've posted some things and sent some things out reminding people of that. So I guess the big thing to remember is even if you have filed for it and you are taking advantage of it, that you do have to, annual reapplication is required to keep the tax amount frozen. Property fraud alert. So has anybody registered their title? Yeah, good. Yeah, quite a few of you have. So this is where it's very easy. We have links on our handouts. You basically are going to register your home, that if the assessor's office or the county receives any change in title, that you are notified. So I just tested this like last week and it worked. So I got a text message about there being an inquiry about the deed on my home. So it notified me and I'm like, yay, okay, I know what that is and I'm fine with that. So it does work. So that's called a property fraud alert. And there are links to those sites on your handouts. So that's a really good one as well. Yeah, go ahead.
I have heard that there are companies out there that will ask you to pay them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, right. It's free. I mean, you do have to pay attention, but you have to go in and register for it. So we're giving you the information to go and do that. So, questions? I think, nope, Mike, nope, no question? Okay, I thought your hand went up first. Okay, Millie.
do you encourage a seller to clear out so that you can stage the property?
Depends. For the most part, we want it as clutter-free as possible. We don't want people to be focusing in on your stuff and your collections. You want them to be looking at the physical asset itself. Staging, yeah, we're a fan of staging. It's going to cost several $1,000s. It kind of depends, Sometimes your property might be extremely marketable, and we don't need to do that. And you're more on a budget, and that's not an expense you want to bear. We understand that.
That's
But
one of the things we're really good at. Because of all the time I spent in new home construction, I get what it's supposed to look like, and Stephanie does too. So many times we'll come in and work with what you have, and we'll suggest that you do remove some items. And we may bring in a couple things, maybe for the fireplace or the place in the kitchen. But we do try to work with what you have as much as possible.
it really depends. I mean, sometimes if, unfortunately people have furniture that is, stained and really, not in good condition, that's probably something we need to get removed from the home because it's detracting, okay? So it really depends on the situation, but overall we want it clean, light, and bright, and not focused on the stuff, but on the home there. Evelyn?
What, you may have said this and I missed it.
Yeah.
What's the average time on market in our county now?
28 days.
28?
days.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's for single-family home. So we can get more specific than that. We can drill it all the way down to your subdivision, which is what we like to do, but we're just giving you some overall guidelines. Linda?
What can you do with states that do not have this fault alert? How do you check to make sure your property there is not being, you know?
If you have property in other states?
In Alabama, yes.
Okay, well, I know that there are lots of other states that offer this property fraud alert.
They don't.
Okay, so in Alabama, they don't. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar. I would recommend, contacting, that area and asking them what is available in the area to get notification to you in the event of that.
Do you know a local real estate agent in Alabama?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I would probably reach out to that agent as well and see if they've got any suggestions for you.
Yeah, that title lock is something that I think somebody was mentioning about it being kind of a rip-off. I mean, you can do it for free, but if you want to pay for it, you can as well. Yes, Roxanne?
When we bought our house like 7 years ago, it kind of cracked in the garage door. We bought it that way. I mean, it's not worse, it's still there. I guess I don't even remember asking about it then. Is that considered a problem?
It's the same thing like I mentioned earlier about concrete in
I
general.
was hoping you would say.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, because once again, the garage floor floats as well. So unless you've got major displacement, because they do put that cracker strips in the garage floor all the way down into your driveway, really unless you have major displacement, it shouldn't be an issue.
And what about, like, we have 2 steps, when you come up to the front porch, and one of them is cracking. Is that a concern? Like, if we would go to south?
Is it cracking this way or up and down?
It's kind of horizontal.
Okay. It means that you are getting some movement. It may be something that you want to have looked at, just for your own protection.
I just try to keep up with things as I see them. And I
Yes.
don't want to overdo,
Right.
but I want it to look nice for me. So
Yeah, of course.
That
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the big thing, is making improvements. Are you going to get enjoyment out of it? Don't do it just to, you want to enjoy it when you're investing money in your home. So do it because you want to do it for yourself. But again, we can give guidance on what's too trendy, what might be a better choice, but ultimately it's your decision. But we're happy to help with things like that as well. Lisa?
So Ryan, if I decide to move,
Uh-huh.
I could do some pre-planning and perhaps
We recommend
employ
it.
your services.
Sure.
Bring you over and see what you think I
Yep.
would need to update or.
Yep,
replace.
we do that all the time.
Or, my foundation, I've never had any leaks, but I've got some cracks in some. Would you be able to recommend a good?
Yeah, so-
foundation inspector or something
Yeah.
like that?
We
Yeah.
have we have a whole vendor list of different people that we recommend. So please, if you need a referral, please reach out to one of us. We're happy to help you any way we can.
Yes, ma'am.
Probably 10 years ago or so, I helped a friend as they were preparing to move. They were moving into Friendship Village. And someone had come to their home, walked through their entire home, measured their furniture, had a floor plan of the one, and were able to tell them what they need to keep and what.
Yep.
Who does that?
Well, okay, so we do that. Okay. We do that. We have floor plan information. When you're moving to, some communities have people that will come in and do that, but most do not. Okay, so that's something that we do help with. We have the designer measurements and boards, look at placing furniture. One of the people that we helped sell last year, they moved into Delmar Gardens, and it was they're a little older over there. They're nice, but the kitchen was very, very small. There was a couple pieces of furniture that they had plenty of furniture. We helped them get rid of everything, but the furniture was too big, so it meant purchasing a couple new items. So
I went shopping with them.
yep.
And I helped them pick out some things.
Yep.
That were room,
Very
space
practical.
for. But the biggest thing is, there was no pantry, but there was a wall from the kitchen into the little family room area that was blank. We went online, I found them a cabinet pantry that would match the new furniture they bought. It fit right perfect into that spot. So it's, it sounds kind of silly, but once again, it's what makes us unique versus maybe some of the other realtors that are out there. We really go the extra step
Yeah.
because it's so overwhelming
Yeah, we've done that.
a number of times.
Ordered furniture to be delivered to the new. We put together some bookcases and shelves and stuff like that. Thankfully, a lot of the retirement communities have wonderful maintenance people there, and they will help hook things up electronically and hang shelves.
And TVs.
So, yeah.
Buying your TV
Mhm.
and things like that. Evelyn?
If a person moves from a single-family home to a condo that has an HOA, what is the typical, from your experience, fee monthly for HOA?
Oh, that is so tough. They have skyrocketed over the last couple years, so ones that may have been $200 a month before are now $400 and $500 because they're trying to hedge the roof replacement. I actually live in Ohms Farm in St. Peters, and we have single-family homes, we have villas, and we also have townhomes. The owners of the townhomes just got hit with a $10,000 assessment because all the roofs need to be replaced. And it's individual, and let me tell you, most of them are young. They're young people just starting out, and some of the things that I've been reading on our Facebook feed, it's frightening. There's a couple people that, and unfortunately our HOA provider is not answering questions. So my own granddaughter was going to buy a condo recently, and they qualified, but the HOA fees had gone from $200 to $450 in 1 month, and I was like, absolutely no. So it really depends.
Yeah, and you have to dig into the details, okay? What does that fee cover? What's your exposure? And that's something when you're looking to buy, there is an actual rider on the contract that we put, so that protects you, so that you can get all the information and make an educated decision before you absolutely are committed to have to buy the property. So there's different places that we know about that are typically high fees because of cedar siding, because they have enclosed hallways that they have to have cleaned and heated and cooled. So there's a lot of variables in that arena. Overall, everybody's costs have been going up because of the insurance, and that's why we are seeing condos sitting more and taking longer to sell.
I will tell you something that kind of a little bit off topic, but I think you'll find interesting. I do have a client that is looking in St. Charles County, and she's looking in the low 100s. I want you to know there is only one house, single-family home for sale right now in St. Charles County that is under $150,000. So the values are unbelievable in St. Charles County, and they have been for years and years and years. We are outperforming what we're seeing in the state. But yeah, I was shocked. Not one house under 150, and it is an investor's nightmare. So it's not even habitable at this point, so. Yeah.
Pete? Yes, ma'am.
As a condo owner who read her association bylaws before she bought, I can tell you that many buyers do not read their condo association bylaws, which contain things like how many pets you can have.
Yep.
And then when you move in, you say, oh, I can only have one dog.
Not if you work with us. That's not gonna happen.
It's so crucial to do that. And you may decide not to buy when you read the rules.
Yes.
So do not fail to read the rules before you buy a condo.
The details.
And that's why it's so important that you have a realtor that gets that information for you before you make a decision, because you might find the perfect condo, but it's got so many restrictive rules that, oh my gosh, now I don't want to live there.
Now, I have a copy of my condo rules.
Right, and that's good.
Which most people should
Don't.
have.
Right.
But you'd be surprised how many people who live in my unit do not have a copy. Somehow it got lost.
Yep.
We
And my
know
fault
that
is it got lost on purpose.
because we ask for it when we list the property.
So talking about details, we ask for that when we list property because you know what? It's very helpful as a realtor, helping show the property to potential buyers to have that information up front. So we ask for it. And the other thing is we will run a title search on your property to make sure you don't have anything weird or wonky on there. Then if there is, there's time to deal with it. And that sometimes there's liens that people don't know about, like these special assessments on condos. Those things happen and we just don't know about it. So we're trying to be very, very proactive and also do a seller's net sheet with you so that you know what your return is upon selling the property. Linda?
How many houses or what percentage do not have HOA fees? That sounds like a nightmare. I want a property that did not have
Well,
HOA.
so subdivisions,
Seems like anything that was built in the 60s, 70s, maybe into the 80s, you didn't really see condo fees, or, I'm sorry, association fees. You can't hear me? I
they-
can't hear you.
they have, so a lot of times we're going by age, okay? Anything that's being built now is gonna have rules, and it's typically gonna have at least a small fee in a subdivision. Whether it's just maintaining common ground or entrance signage, things of that nature. Of course, if you're living in a community that has a pool and a clubhouse and amenities like that, you're gonna be paying minimum $500 or so a year. Some of the developments have, like Sharon was talking about, it may have, in those townhomes at Ohms Farms, they may be paying a fee for the townhomes, and then they're probably also paying a subdivision fee for the master subdivision. So there's 2 layers of rules and fees in that situation. All really important information to find out. In general, in St. Charles County, the older subdivisions are the ones, if you live in a subdivision that was built before, Sharon was saying 1980, most of them, if they don't have amenities, they're not gonna have fees, okay? They at one time probably had rules that were enforced, like fencing and above ground pools, but over time, it gets more and more lax and people do things, and then nobody wants to be on any kind of board or enforce any rules, and then it's anything goes.
So you'd have to buy into an older subdivision in order to not have.
I would say I can't think of too many subdivisions, probably Lincoln and Warren counties would be more so that you could buy something new that there wouldn't at least be an annual fee.
I mean, some
But
of them
there's
are not, some of them are $100 or $150.
A year.
Especially
A year.
A year, especially if they don't have a lot of amenities. But typically, like I said, when I got into the business in '93, I saw HOA fees of $75, $100. But typically, the more mature homes or the older homes, if they do have an association fee, it may be $50, and it may be for the front entrance for flowers.
yeah.
We don't have any HOA.
Well, that's
Okay,
great.
that's good. You're probably in an older,
Yes.
a little bit older subdivision. You have chain link fences, you have above ground pools, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we know of certain developments that have very high fees. And then we know of certain communities that have very low fees. And I know we was talking with these lovely ladies here in front on where they live and where this property was that I showed. Their fees are $65 a month, okay, with a detached villa. However, it doesn't cover certain things. It's very limited, but a lot of people like that, and it might be to your benefit to have that. So.
I would think HOA would be a nightmare, because if I want to put up a fence, I want to be able to put up the fence I want.
You don't want to live in Lake St. Louis then, because they don't allow fences out there at all, okay? Yeah, so, but I would say most places and communities do allow fences, but the new ones are gonna mandate how tall and what type of product it can be.
One of the other things about new construction that I want to mention real quick, if any of you are thinking about building, and there's some builders that are really enforcing, it's called a CID, where they're passing the cost on to you. They bundle it in your tax bill. It's so hard to explain, and it's based on the square footage of your lot and the square footage of your home. I've seen one, it's the same gentleman that I was talking about earlier that's going to build this house. They're taking on another $2,000 to his tax bill on an annual basis, and he has to pay it for 30 years. Now, if he sells the house within this 30-year time frame, it passes on to the next owner. So this is, yeah, trust me, this is something that's popped up in the last 5 to 6 years.
It's, in our area, it started out like Newtown first.
Yeah.
And it's mainly one particular builder. But be careful of that. That's a huge expense that a lot of people don't understand, that they're stuck with that. It runs with the home. They're basically, you're funding for development of the community for 30 years.
So the only way to avoid HOA fees with new construction is build on your own land?
Yes.
That works?
Or
Yeah.
we make it further out.
Yeah.
Whether it's Lincoln, Warren, Franklin, but yeah. New construction is gonna carry the most fees.
But even if we built on our own land, they might add that.
No, you can build on your own land and not have any HOA fees. Yeah. Yes, sir.
How far out do you have to move to find, how far out where the prices significantly come down? You said Lincoln County or Warren County or something?
Well, prices are lower in Lincoln and Warren as in general. I mean, it's past that now, okay? It's Pike County, okay? It's Montgomery, okay? So we just keep going farther north and farther west. Yeah. And I mean, we help people in those areas as well, so. But yeah, the values are up everywhere.
I personally have gone as far as Bowling Green for a buyer and as far as DeSoto. And they pick those particular areas because of taxes and things like that.
All right, guys, thank you for all your wonderful questions. Appreciate you being here. Hope you'll sign up for next month. And call us if you need any info. Thank you.